Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Jamal Titus. I am the special guest for the Lambo Drew show this evening. And, I know it hasn't started off like it normally starts off, but we're going to be waiting for some individuals to come in now. And as people are coming in, good evening, Mrs. Johnson. Um, I am here. I'm the fill-in guest or host for the Lambo Drew Leverage Show. Um, you know, Andrew is taking a well-needed rest. I have been, um, in some communication with him through text message. And he really needs to rest his voice, and so he has decided to take that time this evening. He has already chimed in. We got our folks coming in. The Leverage Show community is showing up strong here this evening. So I consider this a great honor and a privilege in order to be standing in for Lambo Drew this evening. And we're going to have us a great show. I'm going to look for a lot of interaction from the community out there. And thank you so much, Mr. Williams. I greatly appreciate that you're going to be all ears this evening. Oh, and got Lambo with the fire emojis and the rockets. And I got my other guy on here, Mr. Haney. I greatly appreciate the support of the community. I'm just trying to stall for a little bit of time as people are coming in. But one of the things that I do want to do as general housekeeping is to mention again, Lambo has dropped 2 ebooks, one do-it-yourself personal credit repair. All I'm gonna tell you folks, you want to get the books. And then the other one is dealing with business credit. So you make sure that you go on ahead. They're both affordable. I believe for both books together, it's only $80, $39.99 if I'm not mistaken. So you want to get your book. And if you want to try to do it yourself, you've got the opportunity. And then when if you need some assistance, you know how to contact Drew. You know how to contact the rest of the team, be it myself, staff, revenue. We all are looking forward to helping the community out. Also, the other thing that I wanted to say was, and I believe he'll be getting on here soon. The last time you guys saw me, I did the interview with Don LaPlume, and we were talking about the Megaverse project. So I found out last week that there was a drawing, folks, and you're hearing it here. And I talked to the winner. Someone in the community did win digital real estate at the Megaverse project at a value of $10,000 for that information. You know what? Hold on, I can't believe this. This TV just clicked on. One moment. You guys are going to have to forgive me this evening. One of the things I've never mentioned, I don't think, to the general public before is I am married, soon to be 32 years in November. And my wife and I, we have 10 children together. So there may be some background noise that you hear, but, we are a house of love. We have 4 children that are still at home. The other 6 have moved out, and we are looking forward to our empty nest time. So, as I was saying, oh yeah, The Megaverse project. So the Megaverse project, Don had stated that if anyone had reached out, sent an email, and stated that they had seen the Lambo Drew leverage show when he was on, that the names would go into a drawing for this digital real estate. Well, the winner of the $10,000 value of the plot of land in the Megaverse project was Tracy Hugie. And I hope I pronounced your last name right, Tracy. But he is the actual winner of the property of the digital property. So I believe the end of this week or the beginning of next week, Don is going to be reaching out to Tracy. So, all I got to say, folks, is you don't want to miss the programs. You want to watch the replay. If there is some sort of special benefit to the Leverage Show community, you want to jump on it, because this show is changing people's lives. It is helping them. And you already know the great shows that have been put out in the past. So tonight, I guess you're going to get to know about me a little bit better. And one of the things that I do want to talk about is, we're in this economic times right now. And I would suggest, folks, that you don't watch much of the news. I know it's hard to do. You feel like you're going to miss out on stuff. But you got to understand that in the news industry, they say, if it bleeds, it leads. So, they're all about the doom and gloom because that's what gets the eyeballs. They're not about all the positivity that's going on in the world. You're hearing about the economy right now. They have recently come down, with some framework for regulations for crypto. The crypto market seems to be down. Inflation is up at an all-time high. Cost of things are up. Gas, literally here in Columbus, oh my goodness, over $5 a gallon at most gas stations currently here in Columbus. But the thing you have to realize, folks, is that in spite of the so-called loss of money in the stock market or certain other things like that, you have to realize it's similar to, that scientific term, which forgive me if I don't know, but, it talks about how energy is never destroyed, but it just changes forms. When money is lost in the market, it's not truly lost, it's just been transferred somewhere else. So there are plenty of opportunities right now where people are making a killing right now, in spite of the doom and gloom as to what's being stated out there in the media. So, folks, please don't believe the hype. There are changes. We've been through these changes before. We've been through the recession of 2008 with the real estate crash. There was, I'm trying to think of what the other one was. We survived, I guess, what they call Black Monday, back in 2000 when the .com industry bubble burst. So, folks, we're still here. And so all that I'm really saying is that even though things are changing, you also have to change. But we will survive. We will survive just like we've been surviving. We will adapt just like we've been adapting. Yes, there is change. Change is the only constant thing that we're always going to deal with. So we just have to make sure that we are looking forward to the change, that we are doing what we need to do to provide for our families. We need to make sure that we're doing, good night, baby. No, good night. As I said, the youngest, 9 years old. So, we will survive this also. It may not look the same as it did. We survived the pandemic, folks. So again, we learn to adapt, we learn to adjust, and what we really need to focus on is realizing what those adjustments are that we need to make. Um, so you've gotten a lot of great ideas from previous shows here as to, the gig economy, as they call it, with various opportunities that Lambo Drew has shared with everyone. And so, we can make it. Is it going to be tough? Yes. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Yes. But we will survive. The other thing that I wanted to say was since the last time we've actually spoke or I've been on, I've actually started my YouTube channel, and I was encouraged by Lambo Drew, of course, and my guy here in Columbus, Mr. Kennard Haney, and he's doing some major things. When you get a chance, follow his YouTube channel, Kennard Haney, Haney Enterprises. He's putting out great content that's really helping people, and I'm looking to do the same thing. So now to get into the meat of things, one of the things that's going to get us through this rough time right now is really recognizing the changes and really embracing them. And the first thing we have to embrace is a change in mindset. Um, and thank you so much, Ken, there. And that channel is kicking butt, is what he said, brother. Congratulations. Proud of you. Thank you so much, Ken. But the mindset, you have to have a change in mindset. And with that, we need to learn either a new skill. Um, we either need to get access to new information. We really need to get into some books, some trainings, some YouTube videos, not the entertaining stuff, but stuff that is going to help you weather this economic storm, which we've had constant economic storm. So just like God brought us out of the last few over our lives, he's going to bring us through this one also. So just remember that and stay focused on that. But in helping to change your mindset, you have to introduce new information. So this is one of the things that I've done even over the past week, and I encourage others to do. And you'll start to realize that in spite of all of the negative things that you're hearing through some of the loudest channels, that there's still another voice out there that's telling you that you can make it, that you can do this thing. And this kind of brings me to how even me and Andrew met, you know, which was back in December of 2020. And just in November of 2020, the previous 9 to 5 job that I had and I was employed, they closed their doors. And I'd already determined that I was going to leave that job in January of 2021 to begin with. So, it was no big deal to me. I wasn't that bothered by it. I was fortunate to make some wise decisions with the 401k that I had with the company. So that was able to give me a cushion. And I was introduced to Drew. And who introduced me to Drew was Stacks. Stacks was the one. Steve-O was the one. Steve Wood, my brother Wood, was the one that introduced me to Andrew. Steve and I have been friends for over 25 years. And so, me and Andrew had a conversation the first week of December. And then we had a second conversation towards the end of that first week of December. And I decided to pull the trigger and do something that I'd never done before, which was pay for a mentorship program. And at the time, it was kind of like, you know, I hadn't spent money on education like that since I was in college. And, but I wanted something different. And in order to get something different, you got to do something different. So I was like, let me do something different because I really don't want to go to work for somebody else again. Um, I had just turned 50 in July of 2020. And so I met Andrew, found somebody smarter than me in a subject that I was interested in, that I thought I could do some things, and decided to learn, put my head down and start to learn. And out of that, not only did I learn and start to execute, have some success, but other doors started to open up to me. That's how I came across my uh, crypto mentor, blockchain Brown. And that was another decision, crucial decision at the time, was how much did he want for his monthly mastermind group, and learn something else. So adding another arrow into my quiver. And now, because of the association with first Stacks and then Lambo and then Blockchain Brown, now I'm rekindling some other relationships, and which I'll get into in the later part of this story. And everything else, and recognizing that I'm bringing tremendous value, and even to meeting Mr. Haney, Kennard Haney, you know. And two of the biggest things that I want you to take away this evening, two things that I have learned in my soon to be 52 years, is the fact that two of the most important things, or a few of the most important things that you need in life, they don't teach you in school. And the most important thing, number one, is relationships. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to build some additional relationships in some areas where you may want to go. You're going to have to get into places, I guess at one point in my life, in my early 20s, maybe even late 20s, I like to be the smartest person in the room and have everybody look at me. And now I'm like, I don't want to be the smartest person. I want to be able to learn from some other folks that has some other experience, that has some other opportunity, um, that are able to, um, that I can really glean from, that can challenge me, that can stretch me. Because once again, life is short, folks, and we really should be living every day with an excitement and an expectancy of what is possible. You know, um, ever since, even before meeting Andrew, I've had this expectancy, or I've known that every day that you wake up is a new opportunity. And with that new opportunity, you don't know where it may lead you. You don't know who you may meet. You don't know who that person that you meet may know, and how they may make a connection for you to help take you to the next level. And with the initial sharing of the information um, with Stacks back in the day, which led to meeting Andrew, which led me down a different path to where I got to meet Kennard Haney. And I'm gonna tell you this, I don't want y'all sleeping on Kennard, because Kennard is coming along full blast, full steam. um, and that brother is just, you don't realize, since we're too close to a lot of situations, we don't realize even or recognize our own value and our own contribution that we can bring to the greater community. Thank you so much, Drew. I greatly appreciate it. Um, and so I guess what I'm feeling is this, and I really don't want, I guess I gotta share it because it goes back to my childhood and my upbringing. And in the childhood and upbringing, and I'm gonna try and give you the cliff notes. I'm definitely will be sharing some of this on my YouTube channel, which you'll be able to catch up on. But I grew up in the inner city of Pittsburgh. I was raised in a two-parent household, which is, I got a lot of unique situations. My parents are still together. I was born on their first anniversary. So, me and my dad had a rough start to our relationship because he wanted to party on his anniversary and he was in the hospital waiting for me to be born. But, we worked our way through it and now we're the best of friends. But so I was born on my parents' first anniversary and they're still together. They're both still alive. They're still kicking. And I'm just blessed and fortunate to have that. And then, we grew up, I would say, poor and in close proximity to extreme poverty. But I never felt like there was any sort of lack. There was a very high standard that my parents set for me and my two younger sisters. So I'm the oldest of three. I have two younger sisters, and my sisters are the bomb.com. My sister works for my sister next to me, who's about 2 years younger than me. She works and basically runs the entire department. She's a deputy secretary in Pennsylvania, and she's over like literally 13,000 employees. And run the department, which would be considered something like the Department of Jobs and Family Services, the welfare department, all the departments or agencies that tie to that. And then my baby sister has, started off her career working for a couple, for a U.S. senator initially, then a congresswoman. She worked for the American Chemical Society for 10 years. And I was just asking her this past weekend, what her title was, and I'll get it all wrong. But they are the bomb, both my sisters, and they're making major moves, major moves. Uh, black girl magic, black woman magic, whatever you want to call it. Um, and so grew up in this household, and I have to say I was very immature at the time. And so, did very well in school, very well in school, in public school. And so, a C was like an F growing up in my parents' household. So they didn't stand for no C. And then, I found out later in my mid to late 20s that my father got kicked out of high school, but that's another story. But, my father got kicked out of high school, went to the Navy, scored so high, was in communications, then came out, went to computer school without his GED, but he had his GI Bill and learned about computers, set up the first computer mainframe for the Pittsburgh public schools, and the rest is history. And then my mom has been the cornerstone of the household. She worked for the airlines for a while, which gave us a lot of exposure, and we were able to do some traveling. Um, and then she decided to, be home and really raise her children, and make that sacrifice and really invested into us, gave us a love for reading, for God's word, and for different sorts of experiences. So, uh, you know what, Ken? I'm not going to show the pictures of my high school right now, but I'm getting to that part of the story, Ken. Don't jump ahead, please. But so raised and did very well. Was an A student in the public school. My mother had a vision for me to do private school, a school in the Pittsburgh area that I would have boarded during the week and then came home on the weekends. But God saw something different. Um, got tapped on the shoulder, and a school had seen my SSAT scores, which, for college you have SAT, ACT, but to go to these private schools, these private boarding schools, you have to take something called the SSAT. So I took this SSAT test. A teacher had recommended me to take the test, and this school reached out that we had not applied to, didn't know anything about. So I went from the inner city, grew up in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, and I went away to boarding school in right outside of Newport, Rhode Island, in a place called Portsmouth, and the name of the school is Portsmouth Abbey School. It was an all-male Catholic boarding school run by Benedictine monks with a monastery on campus. So, me being raised Original Church of God, which is a Pentecostal denomination, now being transplanted to Rhode Island, which is a very small state, but it's very expensive to live there, and the different type of students. And I'm dealing with the 1% now, the children of the 1%. And at 13 years old, it started me asking questions. And on the questions were things that challenged me at 13 based upon my core belief system. And I think it's the best experience I've ever had. Um, and so, my largest class in high school was 20, which was a religion class. The average class size was 10. There was about 250 students at the school. And my smallest class was Latin 3 with like 4 students. So you could not slip through the cracks. And so one of the biggest things, which I hope this starts to tie everything else as to, you know, we don't know what we don't know and the possibilities that are out there. But, if it wasn't for that experience, I would never know how these other folks live, or that there was a totally different mindset when it came to really everything. So I was an excellent student in public school. And then for the next 4 years, I was average and playing catch up because even the public school system does not teach the same things or to the same degree or importance as they do with private school, or uh, I don't know what you want to call it, some of these New England prep schooling. So, made some great relationships, which, I really didn't appreciate at the time. Um, but I questioned everything from, what the inner city really needed to, religion to education. Because one of the things, core belief that I grew up with was what, you go to school, you get more education, you make more money. Well, uh, a lot of the monks in the monastery were highly educated individuals. Even one person actually worked on the nuclear bomb, the development of the nuclear bomb. But I can understand why they would take a vow of poverty, which on the surface looks like a vow of poverty, but collectively they still had all their needs met, which is something that you come to a conclusion later. But also, there were situations that my friends that I grew up back in the neighborhood, back in Pittsburgh, in the Hill District, and, some of these same students at this other school were doing some of the same things. They were still selling drugs. They were still theft that was being committed. There was still drinking, illegal underage drinking that was going on. And, the only difference is that, you know, the fellas back in Pittsburgh, they didn't have the relationships with the lawyers or the judicial system. and certain other things. They didn't have the resources necessarily to pay for good legal representation, let alone restitution for whatever it was that they got or happened to. So, I started to see that there was a lot of similarities. And now I'm able to make my own decisions, and you understand that people are individuals. Um, and you have to take everyone as an individual as you evaluate and as you go through life. So just because someone I know has had a bad situation or a bad interaction with an individual doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna have a bad interaction with that same individual. Um, and we really have to take it on an individual level. So one of the most important things is relationships. Those relationships will open up doors for you that maybe your money will not be able to get you into. Um, I've had some other blessings come about in my life because of different sorts of relationships. And it's not just uh, what you know, but as we've been told, but it's who you know. And then even going beyond that is it's not just who you know, but who knows you and what sort of relation or reputation, quote unquote, brand that you have, you know? So if you known as the party man, if I'm known as the party man, that individual may not do certain introductions for me. Or you know, if you're dealing with the weed man or whoever, you need to keep them in that sort of a vein. Whereas, you know, people, when you conduct yourself in integrity and you're looking to really live by, as they call it, the golden rule, people will recognize that and they will almost move mountains to help you get somewhere. When you ask some sort of help, or if you're looking to do things or even pushing you somewhere, i.e., how I ended up hosting the Leverage Show tonight. Folks. So, that's one thing that they do not teach you in school is about relationships, and it's not about what can someone do for you today. You never know. You might need that person in 3 months, 3 years, 30 years from now. You just never know. As a matter of fact, speaking of 30 years, I just reconnected over this past weekend with one of my old roommates from high school. And we hadn't seen each other. Of course, social media allows us to see stuff and connect and telephone calls and certain other things over the years. But it was the first time we laid eyes and hands on each other was this past weekend since 1988, folks. And he's doing some major things in the DC area. Shout out to James McPhail, class of '89 from the Abbey. That's the nickname of the school, is the Abbey, but Portsmouth Abbey School. I've been able to rekindle some relationships since my 30th class reunion with some great guys, with some great guys, um, and really community. Which I don't want y'all to sleep on this Leverage Show community either, because guess what? Y'all reach out to each other, y'all get to know one another. You'll be surprised as to how y'all might be able to create some synergy to get some things done. So the first thing is work on relationships. Recognize that most people don't have your experience. Literally, no one has the exact experience that you have. So again, they have a different point of view, they have a different experience, they have a different network, and we were created to work together and to do these things. Then the other thing, another important thing, um, is really belief system. You know, life comes down to experiences, and whether you believe you can have an experience or you don't believe you can have an experience, you're right. So really. To touch upon that issue, and I'm gonna keep this one real short. An experience that I was looking to have that I've had uh, is I wanted to go to some professional sports without paying for it. Well, Jamal, how do you plan on going to an NFL game or an NBA game or an MLB game or an NHL game without paying for it? I'm glad you asked because I've done it for every single one of those. Um, the MLB game was something that was kind of, that's I think that's the lowest hanging fruit. I was working for a company and they took all their employees to a game. Um, the NBA game, and that was the first time I'd ever seen an NBA game live, was because I was in a sales position selling furniture, and one of the mattress reps offered me tickets, and that's really what got me on that path. Was when he offered me the tickets, I was kind of like, really? Okay, so I went. I'm trying to remember who I took with, but I never knew all the activity that went on during the commercial break. Folks, if you've never experienced an NBA game live, you got to go to it because it is as the kids would say, it's lit. Especially when it's one of the superstar teams and stuff. So I got to do that. Happened to be a Cleveland Cavs game. This is pre LeBron James. This is back in the 90s, mid 90s when this happened. So we got MLB, we got NBA. Well, NFL. Thought I was going to get there, you know, working for the furniture company. I became a store manager out in Kansas City. They were giving the managers when they run contests um, tickets to Arrowhead Stadium because the furniture company advertised at the stadium that I managed for out there. But I wasn't out there long enough to do that. So that came back to my dad. My dad is the man. So he got me to an NFL game. It was a preseason game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, all you Steeler haters out there, it's okay. One of the best teams ever. Um, most Super Bowls tied. Uh, but my father, because of his association with the United Way, he got us tickets, or I got access to the uh, president's suite, the Steelers president's suite at Heinz Stadium. So they took 20 of us. We were actually on the sidelines during warm up and got a picture with Mr. Rooney between me and my father. And then we went up to his luxury box and we were able to partake in watching the game. Um, then, so that's NBA, MLB, NFL, and then NHL. NHL was working for a company, and my manager came to me and said, "Do you have you ever been to Penguins game?" I was like, "No." So the manager had gotten tickets from the area manager for this company. So I decided to take my oldest at the time, and these tickets. Now we're talking 2000. Yes, this is like 2000. And we were sitting on the very front row up against the glass. There was 4 seats that were there. And I think at that time in 2000, the tickets were like $125 a piece. I would I would be scared to see how much those tickets run now. But I went to each one of these events where I didn't have to spend a single one of my dimes. And again, it started off really with the Cavalier NBA game that happened in probably about 96 or 97 when the silly mattress rep asked me if I wanted tickets to this game. I was like, well, if I could get tickets like this, why can't I get them for all the other ones? And I've done them all. And just as simply as I was able to focus, and it took a lot of time, I didn't know how it was coming or what avenue these tickets or these opportunities were to present ourselves. That's what we have to do, is leave ourselves open. So if I could apply it to that, then I can apply it to the rest of my life. And I'm telling you, even having the opportunity to speak to you guys this evening is just, I'm just grateful. I'm kind of overwhelmed initially getting on. Of course, I was a slow starter, but folks, I'm settling in and getting comfortable. And please give me some questions out here too. Some of the things that you want to talk about, because Ken knows, and we've done an interview. Ken interviewed me for his channel, and we took an hour and a half. So I'm willing to talk. I'm willing to share, because there's more than enough to go around. There is, we are created after the image and likeness of God. So we are creators, whether we realize it or not. And especially once you get into right relationship, like you ought to be through salvation, then, even more doors open up for you. And, but you got to have the faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I'm going to tell you, it took me, I think, about 15 years to complete that process. But it really didn't matter where I was going, what I was doing. I always left myself open to the possibility. Thank you so much. I'm going to go over to some of these comments that I haven't seen for a while. Kennard Lambo said, Kennard Haney is doing his thing. Yes, he is. Kennard, I have put another check in the mail. Thank you so much. I'm holding you to it, Ken. PC Smith, smiley emoji. Thank you so much. Again, Ken's always going to dominate the conversations on Tuesday night. He says, thank you for taking your sons, two of them anyway, for that haircut at Jamal's. Yeah, me and Ken, again, we met at a barbershop, and I start talking about the Conspiracy of Credit book. Folks, they say leaders are readers. They say that if you want to hide some information, put it in the book. Folks, crack some books open, because any sort of question that you have or answer that you're looking for, I can guarantee it. It's in a book somewhere. It's in a book, but you just got to find it. Next thing, Ken again, show the picture of your high school. We'll save that for my channel. The other thing I'll say about the high school I graduated from, it sits on 525 acres of land. I didn't even realize it during the time frame I was there. 525 acres of land, and most of it's not even developed. And it extends all the way down to Narragansett Bay. Folks, if you've never been to Newport, Rhode Island, you want to visit, you want to see some of those old mansions up on the cliff, up above Newport Beach. It's beautiful, especially in the fall too. Change of color. Kennard again, it says, sorry folks, friends, community. I guess I was fortunate enough to get a sneak peek. Jamal didn't tell you all he was hosting. He didn't tell you all he was hosting tonight. So yeah, greetings, Linda Williams. I think that's Lambo's mother-in-law. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. And then Lambo, all right, I love that togetherness. Bruh, I am just so grateful for this opportunity. That's all I'm keep saying. Kennard says, keep going. Cynthia said, Steelers fan forever. That's what I'm talking about. Miss Davis, that's what I'm talking about. And Saints ain't no slouches either, Drew. So they just ain't the Steelers though. But everybody got to rep their hometown. Um, Cynthia Davis says, amazing interview. I think she's referring to the one on Kennard's page where, me and Kennard just sitting in the vehicle, just talking, two guys having a conversation. Folks. You'll get a little more insight into the both of us and how we're looking to help a lot of people. We are from that lineage. I'll call it the Lambo Drew lineage of really trying to be out here and helping folks. Lambo says, would love to know what are your thoughts about crypto and its future? All right, so we got our first real question. So my thoughts about crypto is it's here to stay, folks. You've got to recognize that, especially us who have a little bit of this, our parents used to use cash and write checks. Since I've been alive, now there's been an introduction of ATM machines, of online banking, of debit cards, of credit cards, the greater use of credit cards. So, everything is being pushed to electronically. And now, cryptocurrency in particular, the blockchain technology is the next evolution of, our monetary system. Currently our monetary system is it's hard to see it. It's opaque is what they call it. It's not transparent. You can't see clearly. When you put your money in the bank, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what the bank is doing with your money. But with the blockchain technology, you can actually follow where the money's going. So just think about this, and this is going to revolutionize everything. It's going to revolutionize, another way that it could really be used in order to, how should I say, tighten up our political system is if donations are on the blockchain, you can see who is donating what money to what candidate at any given time. And I'm not sure if you guys realize, speaking of the political system, that a lot of corporations and those that understand our political system, they donate to both candidates. They donate to both parties. Business owners, corporations, entities donate to both parties. Now, wouldn't you like to know how much they're donating to either party or either politician? That would be something that I think a lot of us would like to know. It might even explain a whole lot of decisions and laws and certain other things. So, crypto is down right now. And I'm just going to tell you with this blockchain technology, which most people don't really understand, and the power of it and the power of crypto, the crypto market is being considered or looked at just like the stock market right now. And so and it's even more volatile. You got these ups, you got these downs, you got these ups, you got these downs, but it's not going anywhere. If you're reading different publications and stuff, as a matter of fact, I just saw recently where Gucci is going to start taking Bitcoin. The designer Gucci stores are taking Bitcoin. They're going to be taking Shiba Inu. They're going to be taking, I forget what the other, but I could be wrong on that. But I definitely remember Bitcoin and Shiba Inu, probably because I own both of those. But but it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. The governments of the world are looking to how to leverage it. They're looking at it as to how to decouple, to remove themselves from the American dollar because of, all the printing of the money, which is what's affecting us now with the inflation that's going on, along with some other manipulations that they're doing. But it's going to truly allow people to have greater control and ownership over their assets, be it NFTs, be it digital real estate. It's here to stay. That's, and there's a lot of people that are saying that in spite of what you're hearing about in the news. So, Bitcoin's not going away. Um, a lot of the crypto's not going away. Yeah, there's going to be some projects that are not, don't have the proper utility, or they have temporary use and utility, and they'll be hot for a while, but they're not in it for the long run. But it's just like any other business. You have businesses that are around for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. And then you also have businesses, folks, that are older than this country. You have businesses that have been around for 300, 400 years, 500 years. Of course, they're not a part of this country, but again, you learn this stuff in a book. So I'm gonna move on down some more of these comments. So Kennard, he says that interview was just two fellas talking an hour and a half. No way. So Lambo, would you love to also know about the would love to also know about the Megaverse project and where it's going? Yeah. So I started off the call, or I'm sorry, I started off the show with sharing with everyone that during that program where I was interviewing Don LaPlume, he mentioned and he put out there that he was giving away one plot of land in the Megaverse project that currently has a value of $10,000. And as I stated earlier in the program, and I'm gonna say it, even repeat it now, that there was someone in our community that won, and currently um, that person was Tracy Hugie. So I haven't seen his name come across this evening. Probably has something come up, but he's an active member of the community. But he is the winner of that $10,000 worth value worth of digital real estate. So that price will be going up. So folks, you do want to watch, as I reiterated earlier, replays, everything that's going on, because guess what? Um, you don't know who the special guest may be giving away, what they may be giving away, and what the value is of that. So the next comment I got going down, oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back to the Megaverse project and everything else. Um, they had a press release already dealing with, oh my goodness, his name just slipped me. Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe is doing like a boxing arena in the Megaverse project where individuals will have the opportunity to, work out with him, do some sessions with him, possibly even do some one-on-one. And there are activities that are already slotted uh, to happen, I think, at the end of this month and into July. So the project is coming along. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with it. The opening day of the project is still slated for October 1st, is when individuals will be able to start to develop their plot of land. Um, and there are buildings that are going up. They have a home designer out of the West Coast that designs multi-million dollar homes, and they're actually selling a digital version of that design in the Megaverse project. Um, there's some other pricey real estate, but it is definitely coming along. But anything dealing with technology, is challenging at certain times, but it is progressive, and we will keep you updated. Ken share some updates on his channel. His YouTube channel. I'll be sharing some updates on my YouTube channel now too, which is just Jamal Titus. You could go there, subscribe, like the videos. I just have currently one. I literally started it last week on Tuesday. See, another Tuesday. And I'll be putting out new content every Tuesday at the very least. So I'll be reposting this show on my channel for this week's content. But everything focuses around money, mindset, finances. So yeah, let me go ahead and move down. Um, so hi everyone, this is Zamaya, Andrew's daughter. Hello, Zamaya. Uh, children are precious, and yeah, yeah, they are the future, as we all know. Welcome to the program. So Lambo Drew again. What's going on with the Wakanda project? Okay, so the Wakanda project. I'm not sure if we've ever really explained what was going on, but again, association relationship. So I met a gentleman a year ago this July who heads up a project in Kenya. And as you get into what's going on with the diaspora, the African diaspora globally, you're starting to realize, and I know a lot of people don't know what's going on because they haven't dialed in, but there is a organization or unifying of the global African diaspora. And they are building these city of return for individuals of African descent. They're not all just exclusively African descent, you know, citizens or yeah, citizens of this city, but they are designed, and that's who the focus is on first. And so the initial one has been already the groundbreaking has happened in Ghana. I'm not familiar with what city, but this is all behind the unification with um, Dr. Arakana, who was the former ambassador to the UN from the African Union. She has really been the majority face of unifying the African diaspora for, I'll say, the last 3 to 5 years. And so she's really been spearheading this project of these cities of return. And there's 6 that are slotted in on a continent of Africa. Uh, the first one is going to be in Ghana, and then I'm a part of an active part of the project in Kenya, outside of Malindi, Kenya, which is taking place. The developers own, I think it's a little over 50,000 acres of land. Phase 1 of the development is um, has been planned out on just under 3,500 acres of land. It's going to be a state of the art smart city. The property extends all the way down to the Indian Ocean. The development does, and so it's headed by a gentleman by the name of Professor Lucas um, Najuma. I'm drawing a blank. Um, Forgive me, Professor, if I pronounce your last name wrong. But Professor Lucas is a great man of God. He has tremendous vision. That's something you're going to need, folks, especially getting through this um, the next, this recession or whatever they're calling it. You got to have a vision for figuring out how to take advantage of opportunities because opportunities haven't stopped. They have not stopped. People are still making money out here. The rich are still getting richer. And unfortunately, those individuals that are lacking vision, that are sitting and twiddling their thumbs and waiting for the government to take care of them, it's not going to happen, folks. It's not going to happen. But the project is moving along. They delayed the initial groundbreaking for the Kenya project was slotted for uh, the July 4th weekend, but it's been pushed back to December. So, folks, if you're interested in getting more information about that, I can definitely be a conduit to help that happen. So now the uh, next question is from Zamaya, I believe. It says, "What can a teenager like me do at 14 to earn extra money for the summer. Well, you know what? It's interesting because I happen to have, well, he's 15 now, but I had a 14-year-old this past year up until he turned 15 the Sunday before Memorial Day. One of the things that he was doing throughout the year was um, he was baking cookies for his friends, his classmates, and his teachers. So he was baking cookies and taking orders for cookies and selling it to them. I've seen where, some kids, young kids that aren't of employment age as of yet, selling candy bars. I'm trying to remember, I think I had my son, my second oldest son, he was selling candy bars at one time to make some extra money. Um, I've seen where young people, got into, actually young ladies who got into making jewelry. Um, Really, whatever you could kind of think about, and your parents especially can be very helpful to you in helping you get those ideas together. And we already know that, your father is helping a lot of business people make money and scale their businesses and do some things. So you're only limited by your imagination and then in your dedication and executing in whatever it is that you decide to do. And recognize that even though it might be a simple process, a lot of times it might not be easy. It may take a while. You're going to have ups and downs, just like any other regular business. But as long as you stay persistent, um, statistically, it is a statistic certainty that one of two things are going to happen to you in life, that you're either going to reach your goal or you're going to run out of time. And when you run out of time, meeting that goal doesn't matter anymore. You know, if you stay persistent, I guess there's a third thing. You could quit, but we don't want to deal with quitters. Quitters, we already know all the adages about quitters never win and winners never quit and all that other sort of stuff. So, maybe bake some things if you like to bake, or either make something with your hands if you like to make something. The biggest thing that I even try to tell some of my children is really just learn how to sell, whatever it is, lemonade stand, candy, um, uh, I'm trying to remember what those little finger spinner things are, but everybody out here wants something. So, you figure out what your local area is lacking in and what you can do as a teenager and just go ahead and do it. And I know you're going to have the support of your parents to get it done. All right. So I'm back to Lambo Drew again. He says, would love to know your thoughts on Myron Golden and what you've learned from him. Oh my goodness. Let's see. How far were we in? We're already an hour in. I'm going to, all I got to say, folks, is if you don't know who Myron Golden is, you need to know who Myron Golden is. One of the things that I did learn, Andrew, is the fact that Myron Golden's mentor is Jerry Clark. And I was listening. I love Jerry Clark's information. And before we even met years ago, I was listening to Jerry Clark stuff, and it's helped me through a lot of different situations over the years. Um, how to look at situations and stuff like that. But Myron Golden breaks stuff down, especially when it comes to the Bible and the truth of the Bible, which, you know, in my opinion, and I go to church, in my opinion, the traditional church is not doing the Bible justice. And I'll just leave it at that. The traditional church is not doing the Bible justice. But Myron Gold is really trying to help some people and show them, even through the scriptures, how it's supposed to be. All right. So I'm going on to the next question. It says, and that's, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's because of the time of day or my eyeglasses. Lamania, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. It says, do you know any materials or books coming out on what you're teaching? Do you know any materials or books coming out on what you're teaching? Um, there are tons of books that are out that touch upon a lot of things that I've touched upon this evening. Um, there's books on blockchain, there's books on our financial system, there's books on crypto, there's books on mindset. I've been a very um, I've been a cheerleader for personal development. I've been involved in personal development for almost 30 years now. Because I'm gonna tell you folks, and some of my former classmates and my siblings can tell you, if you had met me in my teens, if you had met me in my 20s, you would be like, and look at me now, oh, you'd be like, that's not the Jamal that I knew growing up. And it's all because of personal development. It's all because of books. It's all because of seeking out truth on different subjects and situations. Because as the scripture states, the truth shall make you free. It's not just set you free, it will make you free. So when you get into some of these books on these subjects, especially if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, you have to do some self-evaluation and then you have to do some study. And it's all trial and error, you know. So, you may learn some things from one book and then you go to another book. But I will tell you this, the books that I really like, especially when it comes to dealing with personal development, all predate 1950. And the reason why I like the books predating 1950 is because those authors weren't into what I see a lot of contemporary authors are into, which is they write a book in order to write another book. So a book that I'll say that, an entire industry and he created a business around it, which there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to recognize it for what it is. But like Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki, now he has his Rich Dad Technologies. He's got, I don't know, I know it's hundreds of books. It might even be thousands of books now that he's written up underneath that umbrella. But the books that predate 1950, they seem to tell all of their information in that one volume. So some of the books that I'm gonna recommend, and you'll be able to go back and look at this replay, is one of them would be like The Richest Man of Babylon, which is a book that I refused to read for like a decade because growing up in the church, I wasn't gonna read no book about Babylon and how I missed out a decade from the benefits of that book. The Science of Getting Rich, which is a favorite, Kennard's. Um, Another one would be uh, Think and Grow Rich. Um, Another one that was written that wasn't published until 2012, but it was written before 1950, is a book called Outwitting the Devil. Um, when you get an opportunity, all I'm going to say is I don't normally recommend it to a lot of people, but I'm going to recommend it to our Leverage Show community. But you definitely want to take a look at Outwitting the Devil. That's another book written by Napoleon Hill, which is the one who also wrote Think and Grow Rich. And in my opinion, Outwitting the Devil is a way better book than Think and Grow Rich. Easier to read. Plus, you learn more about Napoleon Hill's actual life. Another one, I guess, to mention, which is after 1950, is Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. It was a manuscript that was started by Napoleon Hill before he passed away in 1970, which was written to the Black community, and then it was finished by Dennis Kimbrough. Yeah, Dennis Kimbrough is the one who finished it up with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. But that's definitely one that you might want to read. Also, As a Man Thinketh by last name Allen. I forget his first. But As a Man Thinketh, uh, those are the ones that I'll just mention for right now. But I've got a lot of that have been that I've read, that I've enjoyed, that I've reread. But it's all about personal development. And one of the things that you learn through books is other people's experiences. Um, able to travel and see some of these things in person. You can read about different things in a book. You can read about other people's experiences in life and recognize that there's more than your own reality or your own locality. There, the world is way bigger than where we are living. There's a whole lot more going on that we don't know about in other places, that the only way you could get access to is through either knowing someone in that place or knowing someone who knows someone in that place, or reading about it, you know. And I will say this, my favorite quote comes from Dr. Calvin Mackey, which is the older brother of actor Anthony Mackie, but he says that the man who controls the diameter of your learning controls the circumference of your action. So you don't necessarily just want to learn what they're teaching you in school, because they're only teaching you the stuff that they want you to know so that they can limit and control you based upon that particular information. But you want to learn more than what they're just teaching. Okay. Um, Money. Getting the next question, Money. Do you teach crypto classes? Yes, I do. I have a crypto class. I have a crypto program. I teach the basics. I'm not telling people what to necessarily invest in, how to manage their money. All I'm doing is I'm teaching you about the system, how it parallels to our traditional monetary system. Teaching you about the vocabulary, because that's the first thing that individuals try to do to confuse you, is they change the words. And there's a whole lot of change in the words going on, a whole lot of different aspects in society right now. And when somebody comes at you with a word that you're not familiar with, it's like speaking another language. And once you understand the language, though, then they can't run game on you. That's why they didn't want Black people or the descendants of Africans, the formerly enslaved Africans, to learn how to read. That's why they didn't want the formerly enslaved group or the enslaved group of Africans to speak their own language, because the slave masters could not read, or they could not understand the language. So they had to squash all of that. So language is very important. Words are very important in all aspects of our life, which even something that Myron Golden goes into, um, and really helps a lot of people on. But hopefully I answered all that question for you, Money. Kennard, how do we know who and what to watch and be mindful of regarding YouTube? Well, the one thing that I've used in my life is the aspect of looking at the bigger picture. So whenever you're getting information can always be manipulated, but you just need to recognize who you're getting your information from and why they're giving it. So in a capitalistic society, which we're in, a lot of people are doing things for money. Just point blank. They're doing things for money. They're doing things to make money. So, you have certain um, YouTubers that may or may not let you know that they are invested in certain cryptocurrencies, and they call it shilling. They promote, they talk about, they hype up. certain projects to get more people in. And when they getting people in, the price goes up. Those YouTubers may sell their stuff, may not sell their stuff, whatever. But just take a little bit of time to sit back and to analyze the individual's angle. Now, I'm not saying those angles are good or bad. They're really only bad when you don't know what the angle is. And I'm all about people knowing and making informed decisions, because the decisions that you make are going to be different from the decisions that I make. Your risk level is going to be different than my risk level. And as long as we are all educated about how the situation works, then we can make our own decisions. So I hope I answered that question. So, just really analyze who the YouTuber is and what angle they're coming from. And then you can kind of make your decision as to, whether you want to continue to listen to them or only listen to them at certain times. I have found myself in the past, I was listening to someone that, and I was heavy into them until I wasn't, until I started to recognize some things. Because even like myself, I don't know everything. I'm not trying to act like I do know everything. What I can do is I can share my experience with someone who hasn't had my experience. And that's what I tend to do, or even connections or relationships or access to resources. That's what I'm all about. Um, so let's go here. Again, the next question. Thank you. I see I have to put my dad to work and start me a business. That's what you do. That's what you do. Leverage what you have right in the house. That's what the leverage show is about. Um, so the next question is from J.E. Williams. What's the name of your YouTube channel so I can start following you? My YouTube channel is just Jamal Titus. It's named there. I also will have, I guess, and because of this gray, I'm not as social media savvy as some of my younger counterparts, which I surround myself with people younger than me. I surround myself with people older than me. So, and they're all smarter than me in certain aspects. And I love it because I love learning and I love sharing what I learn with other people. But right now, the YouTube channel is just Jamal Titus. So if you do a search for that, and then I guess I could create another one called credit maximization. So, credit maximization is the service that I have that, I've learned some of the skills, taken some of the skills that Andrew Lambo Drew has taught me, and then combine that with my banking experience and other study that I've done with monetary systems, with the crypto. So I'm really looking at individuals maximizing their money, maximizing their education so that they can maximize their choices. Because that's ultimately what money does for you. It just gives you more choices. And the more choices that you have, the more freedom that you have. And we have way more freedom than what we've been led to believe. So my thing is when somebody comes to me and they're like, you have to choose between A, B, C, and maybe D, I'm like, forget that. I want to know about E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I want to know about all the choices because I know that there's more choices out than just what I'm being presented with. And in one of those other choices might be the best fit for me, but that goes back to understanding who's coming at you and, what their angle is, which again, I'm not saying the angle is a bad thing. You just got to recognize what people are into and why they're approaching you in just all situations. And it's um, when we expect more out of individuals, or if we misunderstand their angle, that's when we have the misunderstandings. That's when we have, that's when we get hurt in certain other things in different sorts of relationships. So, as long as we've got the best understanding about a situation, we've asked some questions, it's the less, we're less likely to be hurt. We're never going to be able to totally insulate ourselves from everything, but we will start to minimize some of that stuff. So Mrs. Johnson, Williams Johnson says, have you ever read The 48 Laws of Power? Yes, I have. That's another very good book. That's another very good book. I laugh because there's a lot of I guess secular point of view in the book. So um when you're operating as if you're alone, because I believe believers are operating with the guidance of the Holy Spirit and God. So they're not alone in their situations. So um but it's a very good book. It's very informative, it's very educational, and it gives plenty of examples as to what to do and what not to do. And when people have done both situations, historically, the types of things that have happened. So, yeah, it's a good book. I don't necessarily recommend it for everyone to read, but it is definitely a good book. It's a good book. Uh, so we got two canards. So Jamal, after reading The Richest Man in Babylon and being a Bible student that you are, what are your thoughts on paying your, I guess that's supposed to be self 10% first to use as investment, or paying the church 10? Woo! I don't think that's mutually exclusive. So I say do both. Do both. Um, there's nothing wrong with doing both. So yeah. So I don't know, uh you gotta do both. You gotta operate. And I'll say paying uh, the church 10%, I'll put it to you this: when you do a study, go back to the Old Testament. I think it's Malachi. I can't remember if it's 3. I initially want to say 5. But back in Malachi, it tells you exactly what is supposed to be done with the tithe. And I'll say, do that. And remember, Malachi, the Old Testament, predates the church. So, um, yeah, yeah. That's all I can say about it. I have a regular giving account. I have money set aside to give, to empower the believers, to give, empower situations that God crosses across my path, because once again, you understand the intent and what was supposed to be done with that. So if the church you're a part of is doing exactly what the scriptures are stating is supposed to be done, oh, absolutely. But you ought to know, again, get educated on as to what is the tithe supposed to go to. And even on that, you were supposed to be giving way more than the 10th. You go back to that passage, you go back to the Old Testament, you look at the tithe. It wasn't just 10% to the church. Again, that's what the tradition kind of speaks to, but it's you give way more than that. There was other portions, and I just don't want to state, because I don't know exactly, but I think the total ends up being more like 30%. But again, why, just go and study for yourself. And um, if you ask for wisdom, the scripture says it will give you wisdom in how to deal with situations. And thank you so much, Ken, for reminding me about the name of the author of As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. Yes. Next question here is J.E. Williams. Do you also help people out with business credit and business credit loans? Yes, I am capable of helping you with that. Um, I'm not an expert like Lambo Drew is, but yes, I can help you through the process in order to build out a healthy file and then position you in such a way where, just like on the personal side, once you build out a healthy credit file, then you know how to trigger the approvals for the business credit and the types of loans that you're looking for. Okay. Um, and then Lambo mentioned, he said, tithers live in the realm. Um, and then he goes back to a continuation of his statement. It says, all successful people I know tithe, even if they are not active believers. Yeah. So, I would put it a little more simply as you have to have a lifestyle of giving, and as you recognize and as you go through life, because, the scriptures state, whatever you sow is what you reap. So even corporations, that's why they have their nonprofit arm. They are operating, whether they are a chemical company or whoever the corporation is, they have their charitable giving. That is a part of their business plan. So giving must be a part of your lifestyle because you cannot be stingy and really survive. How is a blessing going to get to you if you're holding your hand like this, compared to things are supposed to work through you, not just come to you. And even when you look at business structures and everything else, they serve more people. They serve, hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions. They've got to provide or give something to these folks. And then they also have to give back to these folks, because again, if someone is just leeching off of you, after a while, no matter what it is, how good it is, after a while, it's like people don't like being used or whatever else, you know. But you have to have a lifestyle of giving. I don't just limit myself to, and over my lifetime, to just 10%. That's why I believe the scriptures tell you also you need to be led by the Spirit, because at one time it might only tell you 10%. Another time it might tell you 20%. You didn't only gave 10. Now you limiting your blessing. Other time it might tell you to give it all for a particular reason. It might even tell you not to give in this particular case because you can't see everything that's going on or whatever else. But you have to have a lifestyle of giving and being generous. Um, so J.E. Williams says, what are some best ways to improve my business credit score? Well, the best ways, and I'm gonna just mention a few here, not everything. If you've already done your EIN number, if you've already incorporated, um, you want to get your Dun and Bradstreet number. You want to deal with, based upon your personal credit initially. There's several different ways, but you want to get some vendor accounts, 30-day uh, accounts or more. You want to have the mix of, some sort of revolving account with that, and you just build out from there. But guess what? A real quick and easy way is if you pick up Lambo Drew's ebook, Dealing with Business Credit. It's only $39.99, and it will lay out to you a game plan as to how to get that thing done that you can reference. And, he wanted to make it affordable to everyone out here. And then if you need additional help beyond that, then you can reach out to one of the team members and we'd be more than happy to help you. Okay? I hope I answered that question for you, J.E. Williams. Lambo, again, sow, if you sow sparingly, you will reap sparingly. Again, what the scriptures say. If you sow bountifully, you will reap bountifully. Law of sowing and reaping. That's what it is. Bottom line, folks. And to continue on with the statement, it says, look at Jeff Bezos. Amazon gives away millions between food and products and cash every year. So everybody could talk about, Amazon all they want, but we all like to get those deliveries. We all like to benefit in some free stuff. They have a charitable arm. They're making billions. They're making trillions, but they're giving away millions too, you know, which would be a lot to us, but in this grand scheme of things, it's still a small portion compared to, what they're keeping. Um, you know, so I, I would challenge you to try and find a company, whether you like them or don't like them, whether you think they're treating the environment right or not treating it right. I dare you to find a major company that does not give to have some sort of charitable arm, or that is not giving to a community that they're located in or have offices in. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. You're welcome, J.E. Williams. Um, you're welcome. That's what we're here for. Um, as I'm thinking here, just to kind of reflect upon what we've talked about this evening. Number one, I talked about relationships. That's something that not being taught in schools. And if you look at the structure, though, too, we are being made to be put into a silo. So when I say that, I mean when you do collaborative work outside of lab or a special project, collaborative work is considered cheating. And after you go through schooling for 12, 16, if you get a college 3 or 4 year degree, if you do another 2 years for a master's, then that's 18. If you do more for a doctorate, that's over, let's say 20 years plus years, but you've been doing it for at least 12. And then you go into the workforce, and guess what? You got to work with other people. And then you wonder why people can't work together. It's because they've been conditioned from the start not to work together. Um, so you're already starting behind the 8 ball. So relationships will open up doors that money and other resources may not end up opening up. Um, then we also talked about experiences and believing, whether you can have an experience or not have an experience. And the last thing that I'm gonna just lightly touch upon, but I'm not going into tonight, this is part of the stuff that's going to be on my YouTube channel, is money. How money works, how our monetary system works, what is really capitalism? Because the financial industry makes money off of people's ignorance. And you're always getting conflicting stories and conflicting uh, messages from so-called experts. And, you know, all I could tell you is, personally, I got fed up a long time ago. Really, when I saw the disparity between, my high school friends back in the neighborhood and then my high school friends at boarding school, I knew that there was something to this money thing. And I didn't quite know what it was or how it was going to play out. And it's literally taken me about 25 to 30 years to really get a handle and start to understand. And then also with Lambo Drew's help, um, to figure out how best to monetize, because I've done a lot of stuff for free for a lot of folks and helped a whole lot of people make money. And that's just who I be. But and unfortunately, those are some resources or some compensation I could use for my family because, you know, having a large family means we have large responsibilities. But God has always been faithful. Um, we're here, we're making it through. Our children are starting to thrive. But you got to know about money. We spend so much time working for it. We don't have an issue with making it. But what we do have a challenge and issue with is how do we keep it? How do we invest it? How do we manage it? So that's where my heart is helping people to learn some of those things because you can learn everything's a skill and it's going to help you out. So I'm gonna read these last few, and I am wrapping up the program, folks. You had me for an hour 35 minutes, which I think is the shortest time that I've ever been on the Lambo Drew Leverage show. So I'm gonna wrap this up. They say, Jamal, you definitely dropped a lot of great knowledge tonight. Thank you so much. Fire emoji. I wonder if Ken is going to make 10 videos off of his broadcast. Can't wait to see you. So can't wait to see it, fellas. And then Cynthia Davis said, thank you. Yes, folks. I greatly appreciate you giving me an hour and 35 minutes of your time this evening. I'm so glad that Lambo got a chance to rest his voice because, folks, in spite of what you saw the last couple weeks, that was not a true representation of how um, Lambo has been operating literally over the last 6 weeks. Um, please, if you understand and know the power of prayer, please keep him in your prayers that he would, his body would totally heal. But literally on those programs that you've seen him on have been the majority of time that he's talked between programs. And he wasn't doing it. Um, but yeah, just keep praying for that brother. And you figure, when you start talking about spiritual warfare, when someone's out here trying to really help people, empower the people of God, empower people and draw them, letting their light so shine that they're coming under attack. And his main weapon, or that Lambo has to help people, is his voice. So it's only natural that that would come under attack. But through text messages and stuff and short conversations, he let me know he wanted me to do this program tonight. Literally, I started. He let me know like 8 hours before the program started. But I've had some other training, so I hope you enjoyed the session, folks. Please like, share with others. And I am looking forward to next week's program and who the guest is going to be. And I will be there with bells and whistles. And yeah, follow all of the money team, and that's including um, Stack, Stevo. That's including Revenue Ryan. That's including, of course, our founder, Lambo Drew. That includes myself. And I would say that includes part of our lineage of Kennard Haney, also, you know. Um, but folks, go back, take a look at past videos. We're doing some things, we're helping people. Share those ones that will help other people in this situation as you're talking to them and dealing with them. And I thank you again for this hour, 38 minutes, 53, 54, 55 seconds. Thank you again. And I look forward to being a part of the community and observing on next week's program. Thank you so much, folks. And good night.